100.
Welcome to Keep It 100 Oklahoma High School Sports on this Sunday. Talking about Sunday, folks. High school football has pretty come to an end. It's the new season. It's called playoffs.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Okay, there you go.
You got to fix your deal. You all staticky up in here. I know it's playoffs and you're excited. Talk to me now.
There you go.
What's going on, fellas?
Not much.
What's up, Big E?
Not much.
What's up, Jonah?
Just chilling, trying to stay warm, man.
Trying to stay warm. Well, you got playoffs coming up this week, man. You know, the junior Jags.
You got playoffs coming up.
I mean, I'll be there in support. I'm special team coach. I know I'm gonna get an award at the end of the year.
Your head coach.
We got an offensive coordinator, and he will be let go after this season. So when you see it on ESPN, Jerry Lewis has been let go. So don't tell nobody he had to catch the show. Well, folks, we're gonna have a special guest today. We're gonna have it's pretty cool. We're gonna hook up with Red Prep Zone. Michael Knight's gonna come join us, and we're gonna talk about these playoffs. We're going to go through all the classes and find out who's going to get that gold ball that we have on the table and who's going to be going home, getting ready for basketball and wrestling season or whatever the next sport they got. Big E, what's going on?
Not much. College yesterday, we had quite a few upsets.
Man.
First off, start with, I don't know if you called this an upset.
Who's that?
Georgia, Tennessee. In the rankings, it was an upset, but I honestly thought that Georgia would win this game. They were playing at home. And I honestly still think Georgia's the better team. Georgia's a more balanced team. They have a better defense. Tennessee, they do have a pretty high-powered offense, but that Georgia defense, it's pretty nasty. And you saw that yesterday night. Georgia gets the win, 27-13.
Georgia just hit him in the mouth early.
I think Georgia's the new Alabama.
I think it could be.
Could be.
I think Georgia's the new Alabama. You know, I mean, you see Alabama lose the second game. When's the last time we've talked about that? Alabama's not going to be talked about going to the national championship this year.
Well, they lose a lot of coaches each.
I mean, all their coordinators go on to become head coaches somewhere else. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's fine. You're still getting players in there year in, year out. You know, you got the number one
quarterback. Coach him doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, that's true. But I'm just saying, you know, both our teams here in the state look bad, and Tulsa too. All three of them. I don't even know if UCO. I think they might have lost too. So we might have been 0-4. But I just tell you, OU's probably a year away. It just kind of tells you.
I'd say we're more than a year away.
Y'all think?
Yeah, that defense. I mean, when I'm watching the game, and especially on that last play, it's 3rd and 3. And you got to get that stop to put the ball back in the offense. The offense looked pretty decent all game. I mean, besides the turnovers.
The offense is – what's the word I'm looking for? It's
well, you had 2 of those picks that were tipped in the air.
I'm just saying the scheme alone is just gimmicky.
Yeah,
they don't have speed.
No,
it
they don't have any
Baylor
speed.
Because they had speed. They had a track team, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. That offense works – that's basically Baylor's old offense. You have to have speed, and they don't have it.
Right.
It's just gimmicky, just like that 4th and 1. Get under the center and just go 1 yard.
Right.
Why you trying to do
trying to
wildcat with the? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but on defense, that 3rd and 3 to get the ball back, and that hole just opens right up. This dude could have scored a touchdown, but he took a knee to run the ball, run the clock out, which was a smart play by him.
Right.
And I think, and you just saw guys give up. And also, I think that's one of the main things about this Oklahoma team. You just see a guy gives up. I mean, I remember watching a play, running back still up. He's getting held up at the line, and his old line's just standing there watching him. Add on, push him forward. Try to get as many yards as you can. I think, I just see those guys standing there watching them, and even on the defensive side, they just stand there and watch.
The defense is just a ripple effect. The front can't get penetration, so it's got 2 linebackers trying to cover sideline to sideline. Number 2, he's just out there to be out there. 28, he's okay, but he's too skinny. He can't get off blocks. Then your run fits are done. Your angles are done. You got your safety coming up. He's running over the top, and then you got corners nowhere to be found. This is the only team I know that will drop 8 and 4 receivers are wide open. How's that possible?
And the middle's always open.
Yeah, the seams are always open. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
So you better off just going 3 linebackers, 8 in the box, whatever you want to do, and go man in the back.
Yeah. I think both teams, like Oklahoma State, I mean, I don't know if Spencer Sanders is done for the year.
I think it's collarbone.
they're not saying anything, but you bring in the other quarterback. Last week you started Gundy or brought Gundy in, and I guess his handshaking has caused him not to play him this game. But I just tell you the quarterback they played the other day, I didn't catch his name. What's his name?
I honestly don't know.
But I just tell you, he go up to Kansas, and don't get me wrong, Kansas playing good. They got their backup. They got their backup quarterback, playing really good, and but you gave up almost 300 something yards rushing to a running back.
He's still running. They said that he didn't go take a shower. He ran home. Like he still got his cleats and shoulder pads.
Fixture, Mike. I did call Coach Jones. Oklahoma State graduate. Love them Cowboys. Pistols firing. Nothing was firing yesterday. He might have had some blanks in his gun. But I will say though, about Oklahoma State, man, I don't know if that defensive coordinator going to stick around. He's given up some points the last 2 weeks. I know he came from Auburn. As you can see, Auburn fired their coach. So that tells you how good of a defensive coordinator he was. So I think both teams are, they're going to probably make it to bowl games, but they're going to play on Christmas Day and the day after Christmas. They're not playing it. So folks,
those days are already over for OU, OSU.
But I just tell you, man, it's not looking good for both teams. The best right now they both what's OU?
They're now 5-4.
5-4, and OSU 6-3.
Yep.
But you gotta think OSU's defense was old last year.
They go out and play. Big 12 was weird because Texas goes out there and beats K-State. I just don't get
because it's the offense.
I think K-State. I tell you all the time. I still think Texas is the best team in Big 12. They got the best running back, the quarterback when he wants to play, even though he acts like he's asleep half the time. Yeah. He should get really what that guy should do is get an NIL deal with NyQuil. NyQuil.
He got no emotion.
Dayquil or something. Wake him up. He just looks like he's going through the motions. But, it's college football. When you got so many guys transferring each year and going to transfer portal and going to different teams, that's what's going to happen. But, hey, you know who's laughing?
Who?
Lincoln Riley.
He's laughing.
He laughing. Him and Caleb Williams
laughing.
You got to
also think about where the OU got their players, at the portal. Look at it at Tulane, Wyoming, Hawaii, Louisville.
Those guys just be happy to be Power 5 players. Mike is messing up today, boy.
I don't hear anything. I don't have any sound in my.
You don't? You don't hear your headphones?
I don't hear my headphones.
I might be able to fix that here in a minute, but
you're fine. I can hear you. I don't hear any headphones. I just hear you live.
Yeah, got you. But they went into the transfer portal and all these guys. That guy from Wyoming, he's pretty good, technically sound, but I don't know. You've seen him play here every now and then on the defense. 22, Colton.
Yeah.
CJ Colton, he's all right. And then I think for OU, the portal's going to play a huge role in this offseason. I think it's going to have to, especially if they want to be able to, be more successful next season. I think I honestly think you'll see a lot of those Texas A&M guys hit the portal.
Yeah, you think they're going to keep Jimbo around?
I think they have to, unless they're going to have to open up the checkbook, man.
Yeah.
It'd be a $96 million buyout if they wanted to fire.
Can you do me one big favor, Big E, since you got the computer up and on
What's
sports
that?
On college? Can you look and see what happened to Kendall Thompson at Nebraska? When I turned the game on, he wasn't playing that backup quarterback. Is he hurt?
Casey Thompson?
Casey. I'm sorry, Casey. I get them boys mixed up. Casey. I just want to see if he's benched because if it is, it's sad because he was at Texas and he waited his turn and he finally gets his shot. Then they bring the other quarterback in, and so I just want to know if he's hurt because it might be the end of his career. He might need to come back home and help out sophomore because they're not very good.
They're not very good.
Well, looks like he has an arm injury, and that's why he was out.
So I just want to find out because I know he wasn't playing, but got to give it up to Michigan. Harbaugh, he's going to find a way to get in that championship. Clemson. I was waiting when Clemson was going to get beat. They should have been beat 4 times. They play every Saturday night. Don't ask me why. They play every Saturday night, but they're horrible. And it finally came to an end that you got beat by an unranked Notre Dame team that's not very good. So it just tells you Clemson was just like Drake, fake love.
Got to.
And then TCU stays undefeated.
TCU's good.
34-24. They keep hurting quarterbacks though. That's
that's their game. They got bounty hunter.
Every Big 12 matchup that they played, they've hurt the quarterback.
Bounty hunters. Get up. I can't hear that. I'm static.
Yeah. We'll go to break and we'll try to get you fixed up, man, because we're gonna have the man.
Can you at least hear?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
But I can't hear myself.
You can't hear yourself. Hey, you might need to clean them ears.
No.
Better get you some
I got
Q-tips.
good.
Mama, get that man some
He
Q-tips.
said some Q-tips. He saying I got dirty ears.
I ain't saying that. But get you a towel and wash it out. There you go. Well, folks, we're going to come right back, man. We're going to see if we can get Jonah's mic fixed up, man, because like I said, we should have a hot show going over all the high school playoffs games going into next week. Some teams got buys, or some teams got to get it rolling Friday night. It's the road to the go ball as we going to bring on Mr. Michael Knight with OK Prep Redzone. And like I said, we're going to go through the brackets 6A to 2A. Folks, when we get into 2A, don't fall asleep because some of them teams I don't know neither.
Man,
so
that's a
we'll keep it live and keep it going. We'll be right back after what?
After one of our sponsors.
Keep it at 100 Oklahoma High School Sports.
With 25 years experience in the industry, Linex Customs OKC is your one-stop shop for all your vehicle accessory needs. Specializing in spray-in liners, lifts, levels, wheels, tires, bed covers, and anything else you need to make your ride look and sound better. Call Eric and the boys at 405-778-8878.
Welcome back to Keep It 100 Oklahoma High School Sports on this Sunday playoff Sunday, as we talk about high school football all the way from 6A to 2A. And we got a special guest today joining us who's going to help us get this bracket going and talk about some of the upsets and some who's going to win the gold ball. It's a road to the gold ball. We bring on Michael Knight from
Prep Redzone.
Prep Redzone. Let me get it right. Prep Redzone. He's going to join us today and help us get this bracket figured out and talk about some of the big matchups that's going to be coming in the next few weeks. How you doing, Michael?
Doing good, guys. How are you?
Man, we're good. We're good. I got Jonah on the show with us, Jonah Lewis and Ethan Davis, my two guests that keeps this show going and popping. So we're going to dive right in, man. We're going to dive in right in at 6A and see what we got going.
We can go 6A.
Yeah, we'll go 6A. We'll go big 6A first.
All right.
All right. So, Michael, let's what's some of the big matchups that you see in 6A, the big 6A?
Well, I think that when you talk about 6A1, you have to start the conversation with some of those top teams that actually aren't going to be playing in the first round because of the bye week. Union, for me, has been the number one team in 6A1 all season.
Yes, sir.
Top to bottom, I think they're the most talented team in 6A1. Now, when you look at Bixby, I've said that Union is the 10th most talented team, but Bixby is the scariest team. This is a team that can beat you in a lot of different ways. In the blink of an eye, they can score 3 or 4 touchdowns, and all of a sudden you're down 21, 28 points. So, and then obviously Jinx beating Bixby on Thursday night on ESPN2. That was a big win for them. And look, I said this about Jinx after that win against Bixby. This is the Jinx team that I wrote about back in July. This is the potential that they have. When they're healthy, when they're playing at their best, and we saw them healthy and playing at their best on Thursday. So those 3 teams are going to be really good. I'd be surprised if anyone else ends up, taking one of those teams out. But I do think that there are some teams like Mustang, Norman North that could make things very interesting.
6 killers.
As far as the first round goes, I love the Enid at Edmond Memorial matchup. Enid back into the playoffs for the first time in over a decade. Edmond Memorial hasn't been there in nearly a decade. Edmond Memorial with some really young talent. Enid has some really good seniors, and their running back Luke Rao, and then their wide receiver Tyke Andrews is one of the best in the class. So there's some really good football that's being played in 6A1 this year. But when you talk about the big picture, who's going to be winning the championship, I think it's those top 3 teams, Union, Bixby, and Jinx. Those guys are going to be contending for the gold ball. But look out for Mustang and Norman North.
Michael, we talk about these teams, but a great storyline will be Jinx and Union playing because their quarterback, last year from Jinx, is it what's his name?
Shaker Riser.
Shaker Riser. He leaves them and packs his bag and drives across the street to his arch rival, and now he's playing for Union, which like you said, you put them at number 1. But I tell you, Jinx got some guys back. They got the running back, and they got some guys healthy. I got a chance to talk to Coach Cole, the defensive back for Bigsby yesterday, and we kind of chopped it up. And he was kind of telling you, he said, man, they're not going to – everybody wants that to be the championship championship game, but it's not. They're going to meet in the semifinals. So pretty much, you're going to have two fireworks going on in the semifinals and the finals. But like I said, a great story would see Union's, quarterback going back and playing against Jinx in the state championship. But like I said, you can't count out Mustang with having Jacoby, Johnson over there, the OU commit. I don't think he has enough to help him.
Don't have enough.
Yeah, I don't think he has enough to help him get to the championship. And like I said, Six Killers right now is playing outstanding ball for Norman North, and they get the running back back. So, he's been beat up. But I tell you right now, I think, Norman North can upset somebody, though, if you don't sleep on them, though. You've seen them, knock off VA. You've seen them knock off, some teams from the other side of the state. So I think it's going to be a great matchup. But I'm kind of right there with you. I've said this weeks and weeks ago before. I think it's going to be Union and Bigsby for the state championship, and I think Bigsby gonna get their first Big 6A championship. Hey, y'all can charm in any time.
I got Union winning because they can do all phases of football. Bigsby, I haven't seen them really throw the ball yet. That quarterback's not a natural thrower. He looks like a tight end playing tailback to me. Yeah. I mean, they just do community left, community right. It's like city football to me. I can't even watch the game the other day.
I did like the game because of it being on ESPN and making it like a college atmosphere game.
Yeah, that part I liked, but
I really
highlighting Oklahoma football as well, on
that's
national
big time,
television.
That's big time. But so who you picking?
Are you asking
I'm picking
me?
Union.
Okay, we got a Union. I got Bigsby.
I got Bixby.
Who you got?
I'm going with Union. They were my picks back in July and August. I'm sticking with them.
They can run, they can throw.
Yeah, the offense is incredible. The defense is one of the best in the state. I mean, they have guys that are going to be playing college football at all three levels.
Don't they have like three D tackles maybe that can go D1 maybe?
I know one guy's, I think he's committed to Vanderbilt, I think, the big D tackle, D lineman.
Yeah, Demarion Thomas, he's committed to Vanderbilt. They have a safety, Devin Robinson, who's committed to Tulsa. They got a couple underclassmen that are going to end up at the Division I level as well. So, I mean, Union is absolutely loaded. I think they're going to end up seeing Bixby in that championship game. I think that we'll end up seeing a Bixby-Jinx rematch in the semifinals. And, the only thing harder than beating Bixby once, which they've accomplished, is beating them twice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think that we're going to end up seeing Bixby and Union in the title game. And I wouldn't sleep on Connor Kirby as a thrower. I mean, he showed it in that game against Jinx that he can throw the ball a little bit. He put up some numbers. He had some drop passes. I mean, he had some guys that just simply drop passes. I'm with you. I mean, he's definitely an athlete playing quarterback. Right. It's not, his most natural position. He also starts for them at linebacker. That tells you what type of kid this is. But he's definitely improved as a passer. And, if you take that lightly, he's going to make you pay.
But when's the last time you talked about Bigsby and not a Presley? And they do have a Presley on the team. He's just a freshman. So, everybody's waiting to see this young man break out. I know he played, a lot of freshman ball and how much he played in JV. You're up on that other side, that side of the state in Tulsa. I know everybody's waiting to see him because I hear he's bigger and, than both brothers. So it's, you got to think about what Bigsby's going to bring to the table next year, having Presley. So if Bigsby wins this, like I said, I got them winning, big 6A. They've been in small 6A the last few years and won it. And now they got a little competition, and I tell people all the time, that win got to come to an end. They won 57, 58 in a row. That has to be a tough, task to keep, trying to do week in and week out, and everybody wants to knock off the champion. Like you said, I think it comes with a little relief. Now, hey, let's go play ball and let's go take care of business. So that's why I'm picking Bigsby to win the gold ball.
But is Bigsby good because their line, where they line up like 7 offensive linemen and then they just overpower everybody? I mean, is that why? Because and now when you saw Jinx, same caliber, same size, I can get off blocks and I can tackle, they didn't look the same. Once Jinx figured it out to me.
I think that, you're looking at a team in the mirror. It's the same type of team, though.
Yeah,
so,
it was just Jinx versus Jinx.
Yeah,
basically.
Jinx versus Jinx, and the real Jinx won. The real Jinx won. Well, let's move on to 6A small, man, because I think it's going
this
into
hard.
No, this ain't hard, man. I think going into 6A small, I think you got 3 teams that we all know: Stillwater, Muskogee, and Choctaw. But do you see anybody that can be a contender, underdog that can sneak in and knock off one of these teams?
I think when you're, talking about, dark horses or teams outside of those top 3, I mean, you're not going to go very far away from those top 3. Deer Creek is a team that interests me. I like their defense, specifically their secondary. They got some dudes back there that can absolutely play. And then Booker T. Washington, they've had a rocky season, but this is still Booker T. They still have guys that are going to be playing college football. But the thing about Booker T is their path to a championship game is so brutal. They have to, they'll take care of business in the first round, but then they'd have to play Deer Creek in the second round, then potentially Stillwater in the semifinals to just get to the championship game. So I like them as a dark horse, but the path to a title game is so brutal for them. But I'm kind of like you guys. I think that it's, Stillwater, Choctaw, Muskogee. Those are the top three teams. For me, I think Stillwater and Choctaw are the top two teams in 6A2.
Watch out now. You don't sleep on the Roughers now. Hey, Birdman said he got to answer some questions. They might have got beat up last Thursday night, but I'm telling you, watch out for Muskogee. I'm telling you, a team that went 2-8 and turned around and sitting at 9-1 this year. You can't. Talk to me. Talk to me now.
Yeah, no, I get it. They went, hey, you can go check the receipts back in June. When we put out our preseason rankings, we had Muskogee number 4. They went 2-8 last year.
Yes,
no
sir.
reason they should be in the top 5. We had them at 4 because we saw this coming.
Yes, sir.
But, I think that they're the team to watch in this class moving forward. I think it might be a little too early this year. I love Jamarian Ficklin. I love some of their other guys. Anthony Watson is one of the most underrated players in the state.
Yes,
tight
sir.
end, defensive end. He's a sack machine on defense. So I really like them next year. I don't know about this year, though, because they'd have to run through Choctaw, who's very senior-led. They'd have to go through potentially Stillwater in the championship game, who's very senior-led. So I love Muskogee in the future.
Yes, sir.
But this year, I like Stillwater and Choctaw. And when it comes down to it, it really depends on that championship matchup. If it's Choctaw and Stillwater, I love both teams, but at the same time, I want to know what Choctaw is going to do in that environment, because the biggest question I have about them is the penalty problem, and it's a big one, and it happens, all the time in those big games. Do they have those unforced errors? Do they have, those drive-killing penalties that ends up giving the other team extra opportunities? I think that Choctaw on paper is better than Stillwater, but if they can't manage the penalties, I think Stillwater ends up taking it. But as far as a pick, I'll take Choctaw in 6A2.
I'm gonna let E touch this, and I'm gonna get on it because Ethan's a graduate from Yellow Jackets. He came out 2020. He went and watched him play the other night. So I'm gonna let him get some of this. Then I'm gonna jump in.
Yeah. So Choctaw, I mean, they are a good team on paper. They really are. But what I saw last week, I think I saw a lot of weakness in that secondary. The secondary, that team is very senior led, but that secondary is pretty young. You got some sophomores and juniors back there. My biggest thing is they're more than likely going to have to play Muskogee, and I really like Muskogee's. I like their wide receiver core, and I love their quarterback. And I think Muskogee, I think they do have a chance to knock Choctaw off, as much as it pains me to say that. Muskogee, they got great receivers. They got a great quarterback. I think Jamarian Ficklin and those guys, I think they can be ready to win a state championship this year. But so I have Stillwater and Muskogee in the final, just because Choctaw in the secondary, they're looking a little weak, and also they're battling some injuries and things like that. They have some guys that they won't be getting back this season. So I think if Choctaw's healthy, I think they are the favorite to win the 6A2. But battling those injuries and seeing what I saw last weekend against Ponca City. In that secondary, I think I got to go with Muskogee and Stillwater, and then I got Stillwater winning it all.
I'm gonna jump off of that, piggyback off that. I think Muskogee's a team. You watched them play last Thursday night against Stillwater. It's one of those games, like I tell you, like you just said it earlier. It's hard to beat a team twice. I think Muskogee's going to be. I usually speak to Franklin Birdman at least once a week, kind of text him and touch base with him. But I tell you, they have some guys beat up. I think by the time you get a chance to get around and playing against Choctaw on a neutral site, I think that like Ethan's kind of bounce off him. I think with the secondary being beat up and losing some of their linebackers and in a nose guard, I think it's going to be tough for them to get the pressure on this young man, because injury plays a big part of the game, and right now you don't want to go in the playoffs being beat up and got young underclassmen playing in these big ball games. So, like I said, like you kind of said about Muskogee, I think Muskogee is going to be the top-notch team the next 2 years coming, moving forward, because a lot of those guys are sophomores. He'll have a lot of those guys coming back. And plus, anytime you're doing good things like that, you're always going to have somebody piggyback and move in town, because, you want to be, everybody wants to get that gold ring on their finger. So, that new facility is what they're doing out there in Muskogee. So, I have Muskogee knocking off Choctaw in Stillwater, and I have Muskogee winning the state championship as a surprise. It's the dark horse because I just think hey, Stillwater, you got me the first time, but I'm going to get you the second time. It's kind of like Rocky and Apollo knockout.
But I can't count out Steele for some reason.
Yeah, Steele. I mean, that guy's an athlete. I mean, he elongates plays. He makes plays outside of the pocket. You think something's over, and
and all of a sudden,
makes it happen.
It's just something happens, and
as good as
sacked, and then he's throwing to an open receiver.
Right. As good as Steele is, I think really the two playmakers that are going to do a lot for Choctaw if they can make this run, I think it's going to be Latrell Ray. I think he's the most slept on running back in the state. That kid has speed. I think like that. It's his size. I think it's his size. I think if he's 2 inches, 3 inches taller, he has every big D1 offer across the nation. I mean, that guy, he's a playmaker. He makes things happen. And then Connor Stover, tight end. Good friend of mine, but over the past 5 weeks, he has the past 3 weeks, he has 5 or 6 touchdowns in the past. So he's been a big part of that passing game.
I think you got to get a little bit more to R.J. Jackson, though. You got some guys down. I think R.J.'s going to step up. He's been that kid since his freshman year. Everybody's been waiting to see this happen, and really not taking nothing from him, but it's like you're not getting everything. You're like, man, this kid, I remember when he played with the boys, his freshman year, you're like, man, this kid's going to have about 25 D1 offers, and man, he really don't have that many big. I think his biggest D1 offer he's got is Vanderbilt, So, I think it's time for him to, it's time to put up, man. It's playoff time, man. This is your last run. So let's see what you got, and then let's go take care of business.
Yeah, I completely agree on the RJ point where, he is a game wrecker if he's right and if he's playing up to his potential. I love that they moved him to defensive end. He can kind of fit that. And Choctaw, arguably, they're the toughest game they've played in the last 2 months was that district game against Deer Creek.
In Dale City.
Yeah, I know that. But, after the season opener, if the toughest game they played in the last month or so was the Deer Creek game in early October.
They get so banged up if they didn't.
Well, I mean, I just, they got a lot of guys probably going both ways, man. It just it's a fluke, man. I mean, look at the two quarterbacks from, you look at two quarterbacks in the 5A, Richie DeQuazy and Labrador. They both get hurt breaking their collarbones. Luckily, they got to come back, and we'll talk about 5A here in a second. But I'm kind of with you. We're talking about Choctaw, but ain't nobody said nothing about Will Smith.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was trying to get at was the combination of R.J. Jackson and Will Smith in that Deer Creek game. It gave them and their passing attack with Grady Adamson, their quarterback. It gave them problems. They could not move the ball on offense against that front seven. So while you mentioned Choctaw, their secondary, it might be young, they're banged up. And, Ficklin at Muskogee might have time to make plays against that secondary. If he's not getting the ball out quick, R.J. Jackson, Will Smith on the other end, they're going to be in the backfield in the blink of an eye. So it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's big time. So, like I said, I'm going with Muskogee. Jonah?
I don't know. I just can't count out Steele for some reason.
So you taking Choctaw or Stillwater?
I haven't seen much of Stillwater to know.
I will say this night, that Gundy got big, man. He is a huge. I mean, he can go play tight end in college.
He's a great athlete. He's a really good athlete.
I say Stillwater wins it.
Yeah, I think I got as much as it hurts me to say it, I want to say I think Stillwater wins it.
So we got who you got, Knight? You got.
I'll take Choctaw.
Oh, I like it.
I can't count out Steele. It's a 50-50.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, Knight, before we move on to we're talking about Gundy. Does he have any offers for anybody? Anybody going to pick him up?
Not yet. I think that he's a project when it comes to the quarterback position. He's getting better and better. The growth that he's had just in the last 18 months as a passer is outstanding. I think he's one of the top quarterbacks in the state's class, but it's still a work in progress with him. But I think that, the more his senior film gets around, he might opt to go the route that his brother, Gunner went and, take a year off, be a walk-on at OSU, whatever he wants to do. I mean, he's going to have opportunities. But I do think that the more his film makes the rounds, he's going to have some options to play at the next level.
Yes, sir. Well, we're going to jump into 5A real quick, and I think this is the toughest bracket, man. I'm excited about this, man. 5A, to me, is wide open. There's about 6 teams that can win it. I got a couple upsets because I think there's always going to be an upset in high school football. You saw it last year when Deer Creek knocked off Choctaw. You saw it last year when Sand Springs knocked off Dale City. I got a couple upsets, going in the first round. I think Midwest City's going to, they're the number 1 seed. going in, but I think they're going to knock off Piedmont, but I think they're going to knock off McAllister in the second round. Woo! That's big time. That's big time.
Yeah.
I love this 5A bracket. I mean, about a month ago, I realized how deep and how competitive Class 5A really was, and I was like, man, this is without a doubt, hands down, my favorite class to watch. And you look at this bracket, and there are teams everywhere that could end up winning the state championship. The first round is going to be good this week. There's some pretty good matchups, but I want to fast forward to next week in the quarterfinal round when some of these teams start going head-to-head. Those matchups are going to be out. So, all you need to do is look at the bracket when it comes to 5A. Yes, McAllister and Collinsville are playing in the first round. That was a state championship last year.
Yes, sir.
It was a state championship game last year. They're playing in the first round. So 5A is without a doubt my favorite class. I think that you can make the argument for 6 or 7 teams that could potentially win a state championship.
I got that. I'm saying whoever wins that Dale City Carl Albert game is going to play Bishop McGinnis in the state championship. So I like that. I like that pick.
I
think Coweta has done a good run. There are what we call them, the what?
No star dogs.
No star dogs. And you'll see that coming out soon. But I think Coweta has done a great job. I think they're going to play both quarterbacks, and sometimes that timing can be off when you're doing that. I know Labrador wants to get back in the game, kind of like to read the crazy, but I think it's a different deal because Stark's done a great job, and Carl Albert, having their, backup, quarterback in Cash. He did some good things, but Reed DeQuazy makes Carl Albert goes. If you don't have Reed DeQuazy in there, it's a wholly different ball game because now you got to count for that young man, not only throwing the ball, but running the ball. And it takes a little bit of pressure off X-Rob, and like I said, now he ain't got to run the ball 30 times a game. Now with Reed in there, they can do some different things, and they still got the outstanding, defensive back and Tayshawn is going to Iowa State. So they got some players, but I tell you, Dell City's a team that's probably loaded. If Coach Jones can get everybody on the right page, man, he's lost 2 games this year, about a total of 2 points, to McAllister, a game that he was up 20-13, and then he lost to Coweta just the other day in the rain. And then he had about 4 or 5 false starts. It's a guy that he knows what to do. He got some wrinkles under his hat that he's going to break out here in the next couple of weeks. So, but I think Midwest City's one of the hottest teams out right now. Irvin's playing a little. He's playing great quarterback, and he's playing a little bit on defense, and he's playing some special teams. So I think Midwest City's going to be the team that you got to watch out for. That black and gold goes deep. I'm back in the 90s. I know me and my brother both played there. He has 2 state championships. I have 1. But I just tell you, I think Coach Hall has got these guys. The last game they lost was to Dell City 41-0. But if you look at them now, man, they're on the road. They should have lost the other night to Elgin. DJ takes them right down and boom, scores a touchdown. So it just kind of tells you what a Bomber Magnet is kicked in at. And so I really think that Midwest City knock off McAllister and have a tough game against Bishop McGinnis. I think Bishop McGinnis is going to knock off Coweta. I think people's not talking about Bishop McGinnis no more. They lost the 1 game to Choctaw that they had to lead on, but you brought Reed in, and Reed got busy. And like I said, my brother made the statement when Reed came in the game, everybody clapped different. The flags were thrown different. The band played different. Reed is a playmaker. And, I mean, he's a kid that, I think if he played 90% defense, he'll have every D1 offer there is, but I know you got him at the quarterback side, so I'm picking, like I said, whoever wins between Carl Albert and Dell City will be in the state championship against Bishop McGinnis. That's my pick.
I'm gonna go with Carl Albert.
You're good, but you and Mike Don are good friends, though.
Back before the season started, we put out our bold predictions, and I went ahead and said, I think that not only is Carl Albert winning it this year, I'm going to go ahead and call the next 2 years as well. I think that Carl Albert is about to win 3 straight.
What? How can you say that? How can you say that?
I saw them against Bishop McGinnis in that October game when Reed came back, and I talked to Mike Dunn, their head coach, beforehand. He was anticipating both players playing. But as you mentioned, it was pretty obvious early on that when Reed got into the game, that offense just looked different. Xavier Robinson is not only one of the best running backs in the state, he's one of the best players in the state. That dude is an absolute bell cow of a running back. I love his game. So I think that Carl Albert ends up going all the way to the title game. I think that Dell City matchup in the quarterfinal is going to be great.
Man, it's gonna be
And then
Is Reed a junior?
another team in 5A to watch out for though is Grove.
Grove,
Their star
Emmanuel,
running back,
yes,
Emmanuel
sir.
Crawford.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Emmanuel Crawford is one of the more electric running backs in Oklahoma. So they're a team that's definitely flying under the radar. But when it comes down to it, I think Carl Albert has too much in that matchup. So I like Carl Albert on that side of the bracket. I think they see Coweta on the top side. I am interested to see how they use the quarterbacks moving forward. Keelan Starks has been playing out of his mind, but I know that they have a strong quarterback in Laverty coming back. How do they use that moving forward? That does have me wondering, do they have enough to beat McGinnis in a quarterfinal matchup? And then you're right about Midwest City. D'Angelo Irvin is playing just as good as about as anybody. The way he led them down in the final minute and a half or whatever it was to score that go-ahead touchdown to capture a district championship. Midwest City's playing just as good as anybody. After starting the season 0-2, they've won 8 straight. They're playing fantastic football. Their defense is looking phenomenal. And I am interested to see how they do against Piedmont in the Flexbone option.
It's gonna be tough.
It's always an interesting matchup, but I do like Midwest City there. So I do have Carl Albert, Coweta in the championship game, a rematch of week 0 that saw Coweta beat Carl Albert in the game that DeQuasi was knocked out in and broke his collarbone in. And I have Carl Albert getting a little revenge and winning the state championship. The first of 3.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. Get you some.
If Coweta starts the passing quarterback, I don't have them beating Bishop. Bishop has a problem with mobile quarterbacks. Yep. As you can see when they were playing Carl Albert, the score would have got out of hand. Then Reed came in there and made another dynamic because he's a mobile quarterback. Can you hear me? I think they need to keep the original the quarterback Coweta does. Starks against Bishop. Because they don't have the team speed to account for him. Yes. If he's just going to sit in the pocket, that tailors to them better. Yeah. Now, I don't know is Carl Albert physical enough for Coweta if they go in the championship against each other?
Is Carl Albert? I think they are.
Yeah.
They are?
I do too. I was there at that week 0 game, and if DeQuasi doesn't get knocked out of the game, it ends up like I'm not saying that Carl Albert wins, but when DeQuasi got knocked out in the first drive, but they marched right down the field.
But you got to listen to what you're saying. He got knocked out. You know what I'm saying? That's being physical. He got knocked out. Plus that 0 week. He
broke his collarbone. Yeah. I mean, it's not like he got knocked out of the game with a concussion. Like he.
No, I'm just saying. Like, I don't know how he broke his collarbone. I mean,
it's kind of a fluke play. But if you talk to anybody about, when I talk to Don, when you talk about Coweta, everybody talks about how physical you are. Coach Jones talks about how physical you are. But I'm telling you though, I just think that my assumption of high school football going undefeated. You saw it last week. Bigsby, I didn't think Bigsby was going. I mean, I picked a couple weeks ago that Bigsby was going to beat Jinx by 40-some points because of the way Jinx been playing. But they got some players back. But I'm looking at, I think Bishop McGinnis with Taffy, and River. I mean, I love that name as a QB. That's like a riverboat, a Mississippi boat gambler right there. I just think that Bishop McGinnis is getting flown under the radar. No one's talking about him, and that's what you like as a coach. Right. But I really think Bishop McGinnis can knock off Coweta because. I mean, Coweta played a good game against Del City, but truly, really, Del City catch 2 balls down in the red zone. I mean, woulda, shoulda, coulda, understand that, but you're playing in rain like that. But I'm saying, though, I think, and everybody, like I said, everybody's talking about, Coweta, but, man, it's hard as hell to get back to the state champ. I mean, get to the championship and going undefeated. So that's why I think I got Bishop McGinnis getting, knocking off Coweta. But no one's talking about McAllister. Even you, Mr. Knight, you never said nothing about McAllister. You think they got enough in Eric to get there? Because I'm going to get beat by Sapopa, and then they get beat by Coweta by 49 points, 49-0. Do you think they got enough to even get there?
I think Coweta just.
If Eric is healthy, yes. I mean, we watched him, play Superman last year, take them to the championship game, and I've watched him, perform, over the last 2-3 years and do things that there aren't very many other players in the state that can do. So if he's healthy, like, look, that Coweta game, he wasn't healthy. He was still banged up from the Del City game before. So, I mean, when it comes to him, look, they got to be careful with Collinsville in the first round.
Well, I don't know. Because I tell you right now, Grove, and everybody, like I said, I'm with you on Grove, man. I've been calling Grove all year. It's my dark horse. I think Emmanuel's, his story, just the way the numbers he's putting up is amazing. I can't believe nobody's offered this young man. I mean, what are they waiting on? The kid is a smart kid. I guarantee he got a 40 on his ACT. You only can get the best you can get to 33. I mean, the kid is just. I mean, we had him on the show, man. Just his story alone. I mean, had my wife crying, but I just tell you, man, what are they waiting on this young man? You couldn't get a better kid, a better educated kid, and a guy that's going to help you probably on special teams until he starts playing running back, but just a great kid. So I'm telling you right now, I know we're talking about Carl Albert and Dell City, but I wouldn't be surprised if Grove came in, because I think one thing that Carl Albert do struggle on is the running attack, because they don't have really great linebackers. But I know Coach Dunn and that staff over there, with all those guys that's been there for years, they're gonna put something great together, and that's what scares me about them in Dell City. I know Coach Jones might have the better athletes, but I think Coach Don has the guy that's going to put everything in percept to shut down Dell City. But like I said, I don't think I'm with you with McAllister. I think Eric is banged up. I mean, does he need to prove anything? No, man. You're going to Oklahoma, do your thing and keep moving. You played there last year. Like I said, you opened this first round up with two teams that played in the state championship last year. So, like I said, but I don't sleep on Midwest City and don't sleep on Grove, though.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think that Grove, if they end up making it to the semifinals, whoever they see, Carl Albert, Del City, I think that's going to be a great game. This is what I'll say about Emmanuel Crawford, man. I watched him in that game against Collinsville, and they had nothing for him. I mean, they had, there were so many instances where they had 3 or 4 defenders and had him bottled up, and all of a sudden he was breaking it out and going 40, 50 yards for a touchdown. He's the perfect example of the old saying when it comes to running backs: you couldn't tackle him in a phone booth. Like, this kid is so slippery. He's so electric. I mean, he's got a, like you said, he has a very special story. This team is determined to make it far in the playoffs, but I think that if it comes down to that Carl Albert Grove matchup, I think Carl Albert just has a little more depth, a little more talent on both sides of the ball. But like I said at the very beginning, man, 5A is my favorite class. There are really good teams, really good players everywhere. So the quarterfinal round and on is going to be very fun in 5A.
I'm taking Dell City.
I don't know. Depends on what Quita has at quarterback. So if they keep the original Starks, I think it'd be Quita against Carl Albert, and Carl Albert should win.
I think I got Quita winning it. I think
it's a toss between Quita and Carl Albert.
Yeah, I like.
And what did I
think
say?
The thing that with Quita that people aren't talking about is Mason Ford. I think that guy's just a crazy athlete. I mean, he gets things done on defense. He gets things done on offense. I really think he's the spark plug of that team.
Only reason I'm not picking Quita, I think it's hard to go undefeated, man. There's so much pressure, and it gets tighter when you get in the playoffs, man, that I can't lose. And you start feeling that pressure. I think Bigsby felt that last Thursday night. You watched the game, man, they played tight. And I just think, man, you got this winning streak, and, I mean, they're right there. Granted, I'm a big-time, Mason Ford and Starks fan. I love the coach. Coach Harper's a great coach. I'm just telling you. I mean, I kind of put a little bit of pressure on him the other day, and I sent the deal like, he goes, man, do you not even have anything to do? I said, yeah, I get a water break. I sent a text and said, prediction going 14-0. But man, that's a lot of pressure, man. And Knight, you've been doing this a long time. Man, it's a lot of pressure to keep doing it week in and week out and not have a bad game. Eventually, you're gonna have a bad game. So that's why I have Quita getting beat. But like I said, I have Dell City. And who you taking? You're taking Carl Albert, right?
Yeah, I'm taking Carl Albert. I think it's Carl Albert and Quita in the title game, and give me the Titans. I think Xavier Robinson establishes that he's, one of, if not the best player in Oklahoma this year.
Man, that's big time. That's big time. Well, we're going to move on to 4A. We're moving right along pretty good. 4A is another interesting, man, with some great teams in it. I think that Newcastle, Tuttle, Bethany District was the toughest. I got Newcastle. I know they're coming in as the number 4 seed, playing Elk City first, but I got Newcastle knocking off Elk City in the first round.
Yeah, that'll be interesting, man. That district was really top heavy with those 4 teams: Tuttle, Bethany, Blanchard, Newcastle. Elk City, though, they've surprised me. I thought that they were going to take a step back. They made a run to the semifinals last year. And I kind of thought that they would take maybe a step back this season. Their only loss this year is to Carl Albert, although it kind of got out of hand. Yeah, it got out of hand in a hurry, but we kind of thought that was going to happen going in. But, I mean, I see what you're saying with Elk City. I mean, I don't know how challenged they've been. That district, it just wasn't as tough as the one that Newcastle saw. So I could see that potentially happening. And it'll be interesting to see in Class 4A if there's a district sweep, if there's, a district matchup where, all 4 teams from the same district end up winning and moving on. If there was one to happen, it might be that district with Newcastle, Bethany, Tuttle, and Blanchard. Bethany, though, they have a tough first-round matchup with defending champion Clinton. That's going to be interesting. But when I look at Class 4A, I'm going to be honest with you.
Cushing.
I think it's Cushing, and then I think there's a gap, and then I think there's everybody else. I think that Tuttle, Poto, Wagner, they'll be in the mix. But when I look at Cushing, man, this is a team that can score 50 easily by halftime. Their offense is outstanding. Blaze Berlowitz at quarterback, Camden Crooks at wide receiver. Camden Crooks is the most criminally underrated player.
That's what I heard, man. That's what I heard, man. I mean, I was talking to a guy yesterday. He said the same thing. He says Cushing has some of the best receivers, and he says, man, they're not getting the looks they should be getting. And like I said,
I'm just saying this. Look, I've been saying this for the last year and a half. If you like Gavin Freeman at Heritage Hall last year, he's now at OU, getting on the field. He's good enough to play in the Big 12. Then Camden Crooks is good enough as well because it's the exact same player. It's the exact same player. Camden Crooks is to Cushing what Gavin Freeman was to Heritage Hall the last several years. So I really like Cushing in Class 4A. They've been the number 1 team all season for me. I don't see anybody slowing them down. That offense is too potent.
Well, I got Newcastle and and Cushing playing, and I got Wagner and Bethany. I got Wagner playing Cushing in the state championship. I think Wagner's a team that they play Quita to a 9-7 ball game. You can't sleep on Wagner, but I don't know how you're going to make up the points that what Wagner put on them, earlier in the year, man. They beat them pretty bad. So, and like I said, Blaze is probably the best quarterback. You could say he's probably one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the state of Oklahoma. The guy's thrown for over 40 touchdowns and over 3,000 yards. I'm just telling you, we had him on the show last week. Good young man, steak and potato guy, my type of guy. And I just tell you, what he's done at Cushing. Plus, he got beat the first round last year, so I know he want to redeem himself and get to the state championship. But listen to him talk, man. Just a very educated young man, real humble, and that's the type of kids I like. I like the kids that are humble, man, instead of the kids that just pretty much jack, that think they're better than everybody else. Because you're one injury away in any sport that you never play the game again. So a young man that's humble, but like I said, I'll be pulling for Blaze and Cushing. But like I said, don't count Wagner out. And like I said, I think that one district with Newcastle, Tuttle, Bethany, I think that's what, like I said, I think all 4 of those guys will make it. I think only one won't make it will be Tuttle, because I think Wagner knocked Tuttle off in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think for me, I think I gotta go. I think Bethany has a chance to make a pretty strong run and get into the championship. So I think I'm gonna have to go with Cushing versus Bethany in that state championship, and I got Cushing winning it.
I think we're all gonna go with Cushing, though.
Yeah. I mean, as far as like the championship matchup, I like Cushing and Poto out of the bottom side of the bracket. I think that I'm with you on Bethany. They have a really good player in Taylor Heim. I mean, he does everything for them. He plays a little quarterback, wide receiver, defensive back. I think he's one of the state's leaders in interceptions this season. He's a really good football player. Poto, the same thing, man. Dax Collins is a really good prospect. He's just a junior this year. He got hurt a little bit earlier in the season, but it seems like he's back to 100%. Poto's a team to watch out for. A team that maybe not a lot of people are talking about in 4A is Hilldale, man. They're running back Eric Virgil. Virgil is the real deal.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's been outstanding this season. So they could end up making a run to the semifinals, and it wouldn't surprise me that much. But when it comes down to who's winning it all, I will be surprised if it's someone other than Cushing. Granted, I was saying the same thing about Tuttle this time last year. I was saying Tuttle, no doubt, they're going to win the state championship. Well, then they ran up against Clinton in the state title game, and it didn't work out so well for them. So maybe I should be weary, but I'm not. I'm going with Cushing. I think they end up winning the state title. I think they see Poto when they get there, and that's an old district rivalry. But I'm taking Cushing in that one, and they get the job done and win a state championship.
Big time. We're gonna move on to 3A. We're getting there, and I tell you, when the brackets start getting a little bit bigger. But Some of these names seem like everybody in 3 is a Metro Christian. Seems like everybody in 3 is a Christian school. So big time. But I think the team that I look at I think is the team to win it all could be Verticus. I think one of the top teams in the 3A. I think 3A, like I said, I think it's anybody can win it. Lincoln Christian's a good school. Heritage Hall, they're there year and out. Marlowe. I mean, you're looking at some good teams, but I think Verticus is a team that could take a gold ball this year.
I'll be interested to see how far they can go. I think that they're a really good team. They have a linebacker in Reese Roller, who is one of the more productive players in the state over the last 3 years. I think if you looked at the last 3 seasons in Oklahoma, he might lead everybody in sacks. This guy he gets into the backfield in a hurry. So I think that they could make a run. But when you talk about 3A, it's the private schools. They dominate. Right. And I said that this was going to be the storyline coming into the season. I was like, look, if you're a fan of a public school and you don't like the private schools so much, you might just want to ignore Class 3A this year because those top teams are the private schools. It's Lincoln Christian at the top for me. Then Metro Christian, they're undefeated with their star quarterback, Kirk Francis. And then Heritage Hall. Heritage Hall, once they got their running back, River Faulkner back, him plus their quarterback, Andy Bass, they're outstanding. So as far as 3A goes, there are some other teams. Verdigris could make a run. Perkins Tryon could make a run. Yeah. But I do think that it's going to end up being Lincoln Christian, Heritage Hall in the state championship game, a renewal of that playoff rivalry that they've had going for years now. For the last several years, they met in the semifinal round. And now they're on opposite sides of the bracket, and I think they continue to go all the way through, see each other again in the state championship game, and I have Lincoln winning it in Class 3A. They're the most complete team for me. They're the most complete team. They can beat you with the run. They can beat you with the pass. Their defense is lights out. I watched them in person a couple weeks ago. Their defense flies all over the ball. All over the field. They stop the run. They're good in the secondary as well. So I think Lincoln's the most complete team. I thought that back in July. Nothing has changed since then. So I'm taking Lincoln Christian to beat Heritage Hall in the 3A title game.
Big time. Like I said, I think Verdigris, they done some good stuff. They beat up on Beggs pretty good. I know Beggs a little bit 2A team, but I think Verdigris is a team, week in and week out has put up some good numbers. I'm kind of with you on Heritage Hall, man. They always find a way to win. But Metro Christian and Lincoln Christian, like I said, both good teams. But, Lincoln Christian, I think they can get the job done. But I think Verdigris is going to find a way to pull it out this year. And like I said, it's always going to be an upset, So some of the teams that we look at like, hey, they're going to win it. But I think Verdigris is a team that they can go get and claim their gold ball this year in the 2020-22.
Yeah. And look, I'd be, it'd be awesome if that ended up happening because that Verdigris senior class, I've watched them for the last 3-4 years. This has been a special class. And if you talk to the people in that community and that coach, Travis East, they know how special this senior class is. So if they're able to go out on top with the state championship, that'd be an unbelievable story. But I when it comes to on the football field, the talent from top to bottom, Verdigris is in the conversation, but I don't know if they have enough. But you're right, man. They have the potential to make it there. It's definitely going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, moving on to Class 2A, we're going to let you lead this one because I don't know a lot about these 2A teams. Mm-hmm. I think Washington's going to win it because my man John Hancock's over there, the principal, and Mr. Tony Reynolds is the AD over there, so I know they got great facilities over there in the 2A with the Washington. But when you get to this bracket, man, it's kind of like a basketball bracket, 64. Bracket. So
yeah, it looks like March Madness over here.
Looks like a March Madness bracket, which I don't understand. You look at the 6A, and you can help me on this night. You look at the 6A, small and big. They have bias. Can they not start bumping some of these teams up and make sure that 6A? Don't have a bye and they're playing, for it, because they're taking teams in the 6A big and 6A big like Westmore, and you look in the 6A small, you're taking teams like Putnam City North and Putnam City Original don't even have a winning season. Is that really good to even go play that game?
Well, see, that's a new thing for this year. Before they only allowed the top 8 or the top 4 teams from each district into the playoffs, and so you still would have a bye week. Then what they did before was they let the top 4 teams in from each district. There was an 8-team playoff, and they would play the first 2 rounds, and then they would get to the Thanksgiving week. They would take that week off, and then they would play the state championship the following week.
Yes,
so
sir.
there'd still be a bye week no matter what. It's always been weird to me how the smaller schools who don't have as many kids, who don't have as many players to suit up, they have to play more games than the bigger schools
Yes,
when
sir.
it comes to the playoffs. It doesn't, it just doesn't really add up to me. But that's going to change. They went ahead and made that announcement earlier this year. That's going to change. They're going to split Class 2A. They're going to split Class A. So in 2024 will be the first year where instead of 32 teams making the playoffs in Class 2A, it'll be 2 separate divisions. They'll have a top division, a lower division, and only 16 teams will make it. So instead of having to play 5 games to win a championship, you only have to play 4. And for those smaller schools, that definitely makes an impact.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep. So who's your top pick in the 2A football? Who are you looking at?
Well, I think you're right with Washington. They've made it to the championship game the last 2 years. They had to settle for a silver ball. They were my team to beat coming into this season. They've given me no reason to think otherwise. The biggest storyline for me in Class 2A, and I wrote about this earlier this year, is the 2 best teams in Class 2A are Washington and Rejoice Christian. And I think that it's hands down, those are the 2 top teams. They'll play in the quarterfinals. So it's going to open the door for somebody else to make a run to the semifinals, to the championship game. I think the top 2 teams, when you have the top 2 teams playing in the quarterfinal round, that's going to open the door for somebody else. And when it comes to Rejoice Christian, I think that they could be the team to beat if their quarterback Chance Wilson is healthy. I talked with their coach this weekend. He said that they're going to assess him coming into this first round matchup against Baggs. We'll see if we end up seeing him again in the next couple of weeks. But if they don't have him back for that Washington game in the quarterfinal round, it's going to be a problem. But if Chance is back in the game, I do like Rejoice to make a run all the way to the title and win the state championship. If he's not healthy, give me Washington. So I had to give you a little asterisk pick there. If Chance Wilson is healthy, give me Rejoice. If he's not, give me Washington.
What about Kiefer? I mean, they come in undefeated, one of the teams that's beat up on Biggs, and I know it came down to them and Biggs and them winning the district championship, and they end up getting the win. So you think they can make a run though?
I'll be interested to see, if they'll more than likely get a win over Bonita in the first round, but then they'll more than likely play Vian, and that's a team that I really like on that side of the bracket. Deshaun Mays is electric. They have a freshman in Mason Wright that's really good. So I don't know if Kiefer has enough guys to make it past the second round. I like Vian to make it there. Jones is a team that not a lot of people are talking about after they started the season 0-3, but they've won 7 straight. That's a team that's going to make a run once again. And then you have on the other side of the bracket, I mean, that side of the bracket with Rejoice and Vian and Washington is absolutely loaded. Yeah. But then there's a whole other side of the bracket with teams that, are going to be making a run. Millwood is really good.
Yes,
Fala is really good. Victory Christian won the district championship in that district. Davis is back in the mix. That's a proud football program, and they're district champs once again. So, I think that Class 2A is always a fun class to watch play out. But man, it was pretty obvious back in September that there are 2 teams at the top, and it's Rejoice and it's Washington. And after that, there's some really good teams: Millwood, Vian, Jones. I think that there's a lot of teams that are going to make things interesting. But when it comes down to it, like I said, Chance Wilson, if he's healthy, give me Rejoice. If not, give me Washington to make it to a 3rd straight title game, and this time win the gold ball.
Get the gold ball. Take it home for John Hancock and then Washington. Real quick before we let you go, I was going to ask you a couple things. I know you do a lot of writing on a lot of these guys. Who are some of your top QBs in the state, and then some of your top running backs in the state?
Well, when you look at quarterbacks, I mean, this season and really for the last couple of years, as far as college prospects go, it's Steele Wassel at Choctaw. I mean, this guy is incredibly polished. He's been our number 1 quarterback for the last several years. I'll be interested to see he's committed to Akron, but I have heard that the recruitment has still continued. He has gotten some looks from some Power 5 schools, so I'll be interested to see if he ends up signing with Akron, but he's been my number one quarterback for the last several years in that senior class. Kirk Francis from Metro Christian, he is an unbelievable passer. As far as, guys that just make an impact at the high school level, maybe they're not necessarily top college prospects. Jackson Woods down at Hominy in Class A, that kid is a star.
Yeah,
I mean,
yes.
he can throw the ball, run the ball. He plays defense for them as well. And when you talk about Class A, all you really need is one or two guys to put on that Superman cape, and then all of a sudden you find yourself playing for a state championship.
Yes,
so he's a really good football player. I mean, as far as running backs go, I mentioned Xavier Robinson from Carl Albert. I don't think I've seen a better running back than him this year. Emmanuel Crawford from Grove is right there in the conversation. DJ McKinney at Union has been outstanding. Jaden Carroll at Jenks, now that he's healthy, we got to see a glimpse of him in that game against Bixby. Now that he's back to 100%, you see what he can do. So there's some really good running backs across the state of Oklahoma right now. And some really good football being played everywhere. And that's what's so fun about this job that I do, is I get to cover not only the big schools, not only the metro schools, but there's good football being played everywhere at every single level. I can tell you about kids in every single class that are making plays and doing things on Friday night. So that's what makes my job so special and so fun to do, is it's not just the kids who are playing at the biggest schools in the state and the Tulsa metro area, the Oklahoma City metro area. There's guys everywhere, man, and it's really fun to watch them ball out on a Friday night.
Well, Michael, man,
I have a couple questions for you before you let you go. Who are some of those guys that maybe aren't getting a whole lot of love around the state that you've seen that should definitely be highlighted, and also some guys that you see coming up in the future classes ahead, the 24 and 25 guys that you really like coming up?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the current senior class, the 2023 group, I mean, I already talked about Camden Crooks at Cushing. I mean, I watch him on film. I've seen him in person, and I say, what am I missing? I don't think I'm missing anything, but I don't understand why he's not being recruited more than he is. I mean, the kid has made play after play since he was a freshman. Offense, defense, he does everything for them. It seems like every single weekend his coach is texting me his stat line, like, yep, another 10 catches, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had an interception that he took back for another touchdown on defense. Wow. So, I mean, that kid is special. Trendon Collins from Muldrow, down there in southeastern Oklahoma in Class 3A. He's run for over 2,000 yards this year. He's an outstanding athlete, man. His dad played basketball for Oklahoma State. His older sister signed with Oklahoma State to play basketball as well. Athletic family. He's also a good basketball player. He's a state champion in track as well. He ran for 2,000 yards this season as a running back. A very versatile athlete. I think that the more his film makes the rounds, and that's what I was saying, you can play anywhere, you can be anywhere, and as long as you can play, they'll find you. I think that he's going to get more looks as his senior film makes the rounds with college coaches. And then, as far as some of the other classes coming up, Winniewood down in Class A, they have this kid that is outstanding, and Caden Knighton plays quarterback for him, but he's really just, the best athlete on the field. He does most of his damage in the running game. I think that he's either at or close to 2,000 yards on the season. There's some really good players coming up. When you look at that 2025 class, it's all about the quarterbacks. Jamarian Ficklin at Muskogee, Shaker Reisig at Union, and then David McComb at Edmond Memorial. That class has the chance to be pretty special. And then as far as the 2024 class goes, there's some really good players along the defensive line. We would have had David Stone if he didn't go off to Florida.
Don't sleep on it. I just talked to him the other day. Don't sleep on that. He might be making his way back. He said,
I hope he does, man. I hope he does, because that makes it even more fun in the 2024 class.
He said he's homesick. He put a tweet out the other day. He texted me and told me to catch his game, but I got a chance to talk to him at that Dell City at McAllister game. Me and he got a chance to talk to him. I'll tell you one thing, that him going to IMG, they put some meat on him, man. And, I mean, you could just kind of tell that is a school to get you ready for college. I mean, we did an interview with him, man. He spoke well. He carried himself well. He looked good, man. You can tell they got him on the weights. I mean, like I said, if you got a chance to send your kid there and do the right things and get him to school, I really think he's going to pick Michigan State, the school he's going to pick to go to, though.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see what happens with his recruitment. I mean, I think that, if he ends up coming back to Del City, you look at the defensive line that are going to be, defensive linemen across the state in Oklahoma. You would have David coming back to Del City, Zadavian Sims down in Durant. He is an absolute monster on the defensive line. And then you have a kid that doesn't even play, OSSAA football. He plays at NOAA, the home school. Yep. Daniel Okoye. He's been looked at by schools all over the country now. He is an absolute freak athlete coming off the edge. So there's some really good players all across the state. We've even had some freshmen. We've even had some freshmen this year that have stepped up and played good football at the varsity level. So, like I said, there's a lot of great football being played at all levels all across the state.
It's big time, though. Like I said, I know you enjoy your job. I get to do this part-time. But like I said, we get to talk to a lot of kids, man. We've had a lot of great kids on this year on the show, with, Six Killer, Emmanuel, we had Montrell, Red, Martell. We've had some great guys on, DJ Irvin, Goodwin, Dale City's running back, So we've had, each week, we get a chance to, cover young men that's, trying to get to the next level. Sometimes if we just try to preach to them, getting to the next level doesn't mean, hey, it's over, because you got everybody that's at that next level just the same quality as you or better than you. So you got to keep working. And the most important thing is getting that education, because footballing can take you so far. And that's one thing we got to preach to these young men. I mean, after football, there is life. You do got to get in the real world. So, like I said, I love what you do for, with your job, with the prep, Redzone, man, the stuff that you put out, man, I love it, man. I thank you for giving us the opportunity to go over the bracket and talk high school football and look at all our different opinions. We all got different people winning, but we're all kind of on the same page, too, of some of the teams, though. Like I said, that 5A is going to be fire. Like you said, you talked about the 6A. I think we agreed on a lot of some of the same teams. But like I said, I really appreciate you coming on with us and, taking some time out of your Sunday afternoon and talk high school ball. You guys got anything else for them?
I'm good. No, sir. Yeah, just thank you for coming on, definitely.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Like I said, I'm pretty sure we'll run into each other at the game and get our picture taken and let everybody know about Keep It 100 and Red Prep Zone, one of the best in the business.
I appreciate you guys. I mean, look, if I'm talking high school football in Oklahoma, it's not work for me. This is something that I grew up in this state. I grew up in the Tulsa area watching Jinx and Union and, that rivalry, develop over the course of decades. So this is one thing that, I'm always going to make some time for is to talk some high school football, and it's the best time of the year with the playoffs starting. So look forward to meeting you guys in person and enjoy the football.
Yeah, I got one trivia question. You talk about Jinx and Union and all that. What was the team back in the 90s? Who was the best team back in the 90s?
Just as far as team?
Best team back in the 90s. If I'm going to say 5A because we didn't have 6A back then. If 5A, who was the best team back in the 90s?
Those Bomber teams.
That's what I want to hear you say. What about them Bombers? Yeah, about them Bombers. Hoo. I appreciate it, though, man. Like I said, I tell my kids all the time, man, my boys graduate from Choctaw. They got a chance to beat me with City when they played them, man. They're like, man, you guys were good. I said, man, we were a powerhouse. I played with Kel. We're ranked number 2 in the nation. My brother got 2 rings. His last ring he got a chance to get. He got beat by Rocky Kalmas. They ran all over him, man. Jonah still feels that hit 20 years later.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Before Jinx went on that run, man, people forget about how awesome those Midwest City teams were. Yes, and then, Jinx, they win it in 96. That 97 Jinx team is probably the best team that's ever done it in Oklahoma. But before those guys started rolling, it was, like you said, it was all about that Bomber magic, man.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you, sir. Enjoy your rest of your afternoon.
All right, guys. All right. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, folks, man, that's good. That's great opportunity to get to talk to a man that knows everything about high school football, from Class A to Class B to Class C. Right. I'm telling you, man. I thought I was in the lab.
I was done after 5.
Yeah. I thought I was in the lab. I'm talking about he was naming kids. I ain't never heard, but that's what you do. That's your job. So, but I appreciate he giving us the opportunity to come on because I got to say, Keep It 100 was right there though. We do our stuff too. Hey, good job, fellas. Doing our homework and knowing what's going on. It's funny. He got Carl Albert winning the next 3 years. I mean, I would have to.
Who they gonna have a quarterback?
I don't know. I mean, he must know
that
something.
catch kid. I mean, he's talented.
Man,
he's definitely talented.
I know he's a junior. I know you got Xavier coming back, but you got the offensive line coming back, but you do lose some playmakers. But that offensive line, like I said, with Norman coming back and Collier coming back,
Tayshaun James after this year.
Maybe it's not what they're losing; it's what the other teams are losing.
Yeah,
that could be it too.
And that's true though. I think, but like I tell you, I think I do the Coach Jones show and not being biased to them. But like I told you, whoever wins that Carl Albert, did I not say whoever wins that Carl Albert Dale City game will win the state championship? But I don't know about Quita. He's on Quita big time. But I got a little birdie that said, hey man, Quita, even though they played Tulsa Memorial, a team that's not very good, I don't know, man. I just think that pressure of staying undefeated is tough. Don't get me wrong. If Quita's
I think they ride that high and take it all the way.
I think
that's my thought process behind it.
If they keep this. Go ahead, my bad.
You got so much energy. You got the town backing you up. You got so much things backing you up. You have a lot of motivation to go and do.
But ain't nobody talk about Bishop McGinnis at the beginning of the year. Mark Rogers had Bishop McGinnis winning it all. Bishop McGinnis lose one game. Ain't nobody talked about the Bishop. And let me tell you about Bishop McGinnis though. Let me say one thing. It's Christmas.
What does that mean?
Man, they love giving.
You stupid.
They love giving. You know what I'm saying? It's Christmas, man.
What does that mean?
Hey, we get together, go to church, man. I mean, I'm telling you, man, what did he say about them Christian schools? Boy, you better be ready.
Stupid.
Notre Dame. Notre Dame, baby. Hey, you saw what they did to Clemson yesterday? Hey, I'm telling you, do not sleep on Bishop McGinnis. I'm telling you. And don't sleep on them Bombers. I know Bombers going to have a tough game. I think if Bombers can get past Piedmont, well, he's right about that option. He is right about that option.
That flex bone's tough.
That flex bones is tough, but I think Bombers are struggling more. I mean, the flex bone thing is if that team can't throw. I watched Carl Albert play Piedmont the other night. Feel like Carl Albert just there. They was going through the motions. Hey, they know they got that game. Why do you think I got these helmets up here? That's the state championship right there. Round 2.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Why not?
If Quita keeps the same offense, it's gonna be Quita and Carl Albert.
Can Carl Albert beat Quita?
I don't know if
I think they can. With Reed healthy, I mean they can, but I think I don't know with just the momentum that Quita has right now. I think they ride it out.
I think they'll be a good, like he said. I mean, Reed was driving the ball right down on them on the field, But like I said, everybody's counting out Dale City. Dale City lost to 2 teams in the state by a total of 2 points. I think if like I said, I really think if Swede catches 2 of those balls, you're looking at Dale City State, district championship.
Dale City's got to come out. They can't be, I'm too cool.
Here's my problem with Dale City, man. Here's my problem with Dale City, and I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings when I say this.
Keep it 100.
It's keep it 100.
It's called keep it what?
100. I have not seen them win a big game yet this season.
Right.
They
so are you calling Coach Jones Big Bob? Big Bob?
No, I'm just saying they seem to,
because Bob Seuss wouldn't win that big one.
Yeah, it's just when they start folding, they break. That's the thing with Dale City. I want to see them succeed. I really do.
No, you're right.
But
you're right.
When they fold.
You got to open it up too, though. You can't just be going with the basic pass. You got it open up. You can't save
After
nothing,
week
baby.
6, you should have a almost whole new offense.
Yeah, you can't. You got to open up. Madonna, you guys here? We got to open it up, man. I'm telling you right now. Well, look what Midwest City's done with DJ. They have opened it up, man. They got him playing some special team. I mean, not special team. They got him playing kickoff, punt return. They got him playing some defense. He's a leader of that team. I mean, you saw him drive the ball right down. That's why I said you can't sleep on Midwest City. Granted, the last game they lost was to Dale City 41-0. Can you make those points up? Yeah, you can. If you're playing good ball and you're on a good roll, I think it can happen.
But who did Midwest City play, though?
Yeah, they didn't. And once Midwest City gets and plays some of these teams that are good, that have earned their spot in the playoff, that are good.
Right.
DJ, who else are we talking about at Midwest City besides DJ? You don't think these guys can shut DJ down?
Boyles, the receiver.
He said Boyles.
Hey,
I'm just saying. Teams are gonna have answers for DJ.
I know,
you can only do so much.
But you guys are talking about Choctaw can win it. Who have they played? The man said it himself. They ain't played the game.
Choctaw's deep though. Choctaw's deep.
How they deep? Where they deep at?
But Choctaw's
they got a good quarterback. They got a great wide receiver core. I mean, I've seen Nathan Kiefer. He's a guy that's kind of popped onto the scene middle of the season.
I'm not dogging him, but I'm saying you have not played them. But you're talking about being in tough ball games. What tough games have they been in, though?
Previous years,
they've been there. They made it to a state championship 2 years ago. And they only lose to Bixby by 3 points in that. And then you have a lot of those guys that are on that team now that they're seniors. You have them there now.
I just
Granted.
can't count out Steele. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but he
No. I
every
mean,
time I'm like,
I was really shocked to him talk about Gundy because I didn't think Gundy was a great quarterback. I thought he was like a robot. He's a big dude. I think if he's playing any other position, I think you put him at tight end. I think the kid gets all kind of offers. I don't think he's a quarterback. I think it's sad that you got. I was hoping that Muskogee could beat Stillwater, so you'll have the two best QBs in 6A going at each other, and Bird and Still. So, but like I said, we're gonna get that in the semifinal game. But I think whoever wins that game probably will beat Stillwater. Stillwater's big up front, but I don't think they do anything that's dangerous. Like, oh my God, I'm scared to play them. I think both of those teams will run Stillwater out of the gym. Just real talk on that. But like I said, I think like he's right about 4A. Cushing should win it all.
Yeah.
3A,
I think I like, man, I had it pulled up a minute ago, and I think I said it. I think I went with Bethany and somebody else.
Bethany, I think you got Bethany and Cushing.
Yeah, Bethany and Cushing, I like that. And then in 2A, I think I like Millwood versus Washington in that state championship.
I don't know. I don't think Millwood got enough to get there, though, man. You're talking about 5 games, man. You're talking about staying healthy. That's a lot of games, man. I'm glad they are fixing that and getting that taken care of because, like I said, that is a lot of games.
That's a whole nother season.
It really is.
You said a whole
why
nother
wouldn't they
season,
fix that prior to this?
Man, I don't know. I don't know why they have it like that, man. That's crazy, though. It really is.
It's crazy.
Well, man, like I said, man, I think that's a great show, man, to get him come on, man, and talk a little high school football, and let everybody know where we're at, man. I think, we're all kind of on the same page, with the teams and talking about, what the next level is. But I think we've done a great job at keeping 100, knowing our stuff, man. It makes me proud, man. Pat myself on the chest that, what we can put out there, though. Like I said, I think next week we'll have Coach, when I say Coach from Bishop McGinnis, I can't even think of his name now. Coach what is his name? Jimmy, Chris, help me out.
I'm getting old, man.
I am getting old, man. They played at OU.
Oh, tell Moses Madu?
Moses Madu. I kept saying Moses. We'll have Coach Moses Madu on next week. We'll talk about, and then have him going in, and then hopefully they win, have them going into the second round playing against Coweta. And see what they got to do to shut Coweta down. Like I said, I think Coweta's a hot team, but I think there's a lot of pressure there trying to stay undefeated, though, man. It's tough, man. People might not think it is,
but it isn't. But it's going to keep that. Just one game at a time.
Yeah, one game at a time. That's what you do, one game at a time.
You trying to put all 4 games in one game?
No, I'm just saying, man, it's a tough deal. Win. Like I said, I think, having 2 quarterback system, I think that plays a little bit into it. But I said, Coach Harper's, he's been there long enough. He knows what he's doing, man. He was, he got beat first round, and he did the trifecta this year, knocking off, Dale City, McAllister, and Carl Albert all in 1 year. And like I said, I do believe it's hard to beat a team twice. So playing Carl Albert, if they make it, and playing Carl Albert in the state championship, like I said, like I've told you, I think whoever wins between that Carl Albert Dale City game is going to win. But like I said, you can't count Grove off because he said I think Emmanuel Crawford is the best back in the state. So.
Who does Emmanuel have? It's just because you could put 8 in the box.
I think every team has probably put 8 in the box, and he's still running.
But he ain't going against the Dale City or
no, you're
Carl
right.
Albert.
But people used to do that against Barry Sanders. And guess what? He's still running.
That's the one in a lifetime back, though.
I just go watch his film. It speaks for itself. Big E, anything else?
No, we just want to thank you for tuning in and watching another episode of Keeping It 100, Oklahoma High School Sports, and good luck to all the teams in the playoffs. I am looking forward to going out and seeing some of these matchups in the coming weeks. So, we just thank you for tuning in and liking and retweeting, commenting, all that good stuff. We appreciate that as well.
Yes. Thank you, like I said, once again for tuning in to a great episode of Keep It 100 Oklahoma High School Sports. We got a chance to talk to, like I said, Mr. Knight, with Red Prep. Okay, so what is it? Is it
Prep Redzone? Prep Redzone, Oklahoma.
So what is explain to me, because there's 2 different ones, right?
I think they rebranded. So you used to have OK Prep, but they just rebranded to Prep Redzone, Oklahoma. Okay. I believe that's the case.
Okay. But like I said, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week. We'll be talking about round 2, talking about some of the big matchups, whose bracket looks good and whose brackets look bad. I think I got the best bracket on this table.
Boy, stop it.
That's me keeping it 100. We'll see you next time. What?
On Keeping It 100, Oklahoma High School Sports.
See ya.
I gotta keep it 100. My man keep it 100.